And now taking the track, light up the fire and brimstone, the Unholy Rollers are here. Being led to the track by Sinister Urge. Number 1221, skating in her 7th season, it's Shrimp Trampy. Number 13 in her 4th season, it's Twisted Halo. Number 15, get ready for the Mac attack. It's Mac the Knife. Number 206, she's the Bone Crusher. CC Ripjaw. Number 22, have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? Then you're ready for Tango de Muerte. 3008, she's gonna rock and roll. It's heavy metal. Number 48 in her 2nd season with the Unholy Rollers, it's Micro Mauler. Number 65, she's had a tough day and she just can't stand the freaking Eagles, it's Blanche Devereaux. 73 BC in her 2nd season, it's I Am Spazicus. Number 8, one of our unholy rookies, it's Hannah Cuffs. Number 847, the 5-foot assassin, your team captain, Hello Sailor. Number 9, put the blame on name, it's Rita Slayworth. Number 900, Si se puede, El Machete. Number 987, she always has the right tool for the job. She's Splatter Alice. B1T, she strikes with power and beauty, but not regret. It's Fang Dangled. Number D4, getting ready to roll a critical hit. It's Magic Missile. Road closed, you're gonna have to take the I-94 detour. Remember, the 5th of November. Watch out, Rizdals, those fangs are real. It's Scarlet Osneria. On the bench is Abby Negative and Wildberry Punch, your 2013 Unholy Rollers.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the ladies in white and black about to hit the track. It is the Reservoir Dolls. Your team captain, 9mm Shenanigans. Team co-captain, 10 inches, Sprouting a Tail. In her return to the track after having a baby, give it up for number 2, Dutch Oven. P1MP, it's Buster Crimes. K155, let's hear it for Lips Macker. 366, Jean Lane. Number 31, Lady Hoo-Ha. Number 54, Violet Fire. Number 1776, Rebel with a Cause. Number 1213, it's Knocking J. Number 6, Wipeout Scout. Number 34, give it up for Kaiser Susie. 5-0, it's The Heat. Let's hear it for number 33, it's Charlie Hustle. And last but not least, number 4, squeaking by, it's Mouse. On the bench tonight, we have Reckless, On Your Knees, Fist Amendment, Glockness, Killums, and No Name Rookie. Let's hear it for the Res Dolls.
Also wearing black and white, though more out of coincidence than anything else, are our referees for the evening. Our head ref tonight and inside pack reffing is Whistler. Also inside pack reffing is Zadork. Our jam referees for this first bout are Eddie Lizard and Checker Pulse. Outside pack refs shall include Some Beach, Uno Mas, and Chaotic Neutral. Our referee alternate and announcer liaison is Irma Gerd referee. Penalty wrangler is Stabby McDudebro. Our penalty trackers are Thecco and Meaner Teener. Inside whiteboard is handled by the capable Irene Edler. NSOs include penalty box manager Shona, penalty timer Rosie Belt, penalty timer also Benjamin Franklin. Two scorekeepers, they are Gavno the Ugly and Modus Owens. We've got the scoreboard operator Misinformed. Our jam timer is Squeaky Fromage. Our period timer is Contusions of Grandeur. Our lineup trackers include Bjorn to Kill and Dread Gazebo. And our NSO alt has been crossed off the list. Huzzah! Those are our NSOs and referees. And now, won't you join me in rising to your feet, removing your novelty headgear, and facing the flag for our national anthem as presented by the Quad Squad's own Alligator.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Alligator, ladies and gentlemen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, in case you've wandered in off the street by accident and are unfamiliar with the color coding going on here, the Unholy Rollers will be wearing the very flattering red and gold tonight, the Reservoir Dolls in the black and the white. Speaking of the Reservoir Dolls, they will be sending number 10 inches sprouting a tail to the jammer line for the first jam of the evening. Meanwhile, the Unholy Rollers will counter with number a bit, and that is...
All right,
Bang
lining up
Dangled.
first, jamming for the Reservoir Dolls. That is one of the captains, sprouting a tail 10 inches.
Going up against the team rookie of Fang Dangled for the Unholy Rollers. Coming out of the second turn, they're both struggling to get through the packs.
Sprouting a tail taken to the outside. Looks like we're going to have our first visit to the penalty box. One of the Unholy Tacos going to the sin bin. That's number 206, CC Ripjaw. And just like that, Busta Crimes also going to the penalty box for the Res Dolls, as we do have a lead jammer.
Sprouting a tail is out, and she is your lead jammer.
They're going to have to let it go for fear of being out of play. Fang Dangled is out of the pack now. But on a scoring pass is Sprouting a Tail. Sprouting a Tail has a nice 3-wall at the top of the pack. They're going to force her to call the jam. Let's see how many points she picked up. It's going to be 2 points for the Res Dolls.
And 1 point for the Unholy Rollers. That was a good example of Sprouting a Tail using her lead jammer status to call off that jam before Fang Dangled could put any more points up on the board.
And on the jammer line for the Unholy Rollers, that is number 22 in the red and the gold. That is Tango de Muerte. And for the Res Dolls, who the heck is that, Jack?
Well, I'll take that call for him, Norb. That is Lady Hoo-Ha. number 31 for the Res Dolls.
And for those of you scoring at home, Lady Hoo-Ha is only 28 points away from her career 500. If what we saw from her at the last bout over at the exhibition hall was any example, we will see her shatter that record tonight.
So Tango de Morte is fighting her way through the pack. She was declared lead jammer, so she's going to call the jam. Let's see if Lady Hoo-Ha was able to pick up any points. Looks like Tango de Morte got 2, but Lady Hoo-Ha picked up at least 1 point. Yep, so we have 3 on the board for the Unholy Rollers, 4 for the Reservoir Dolls. 27 minutes and 53 seconds to go, Norb.
I'll tell you one gosh darn thing about it on the jammer line for the first time tonight, but not for the first time ever. Number 4 for the Res Dolls. That is, of course, the irreparable Mouse. She is going up against number D4 for the Unholy Rollers, wearing the red and the gold. That is Magic Missile. Darned if it's not. And we have a lot of lateral motion as the pack falls like a bunch of Lincoln logs dumped out unceremoniously from a canister. Nice 2-wall up in front provided by the Unholy Rollers. Mouse gets spun around like a turnstile, ekes away through, but it is Magic Missile for the Unholy Rollers. She's your lead jammer.
Yeah, Magic Missile did a great job of shooting right up the inside undetected, but hot on her trail about 10 feet behind, if even that is number 4 Mouse for the Res Dolls. Magic Missile scoops through the pack. So many points she picked up. Looks like 0 points for Magic Missile and 3 for Mouse, Jack.
Absolutely. There was an advantage to Mouse where there were a bunch of Unholy Rollers at the back of the pack. So before Magic Missile could get up to the Reservoir Dolls to start scoring points by passing them, Mouse was able to do some significant damage.
Not always a bad thing to hit the pack second. You draw less attention that way. On the jammer line for the first time this evening, number 6 in the black and the white of the Reservoir Dolls. That is Wipeout Scout. She is going up against number Bit, or B1T, for the Unholy Rollers. That is Fang Dangled in the red and the gold, getting escorted to the infield. Referee says the pack is in back. And we have our lead jammer. That is number 6. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Wipeout Scout for the Reservoir Dolls.
And Wipeout Scout got through, even though number 15, that's Mac the Knife, was putting the dagger in her. Mac the Knife had to go to the penalty box. She was out of play. Meanwhile, a nice recycling black wall of death being held up on B1T, Fang Dangled, as Wipeout Scout picks up 5 points, Norb. That's a grand slam.
That's the grandest of all possible slams. That's why roller derby is 20% better than baseball. We have more point-efficient grand slams. Reservoir Dolls are blocking the inside, they're blocking the outside. They're crisscrossing like a Bodice. Meanwhile, that is another grand slam. 5 more points for the Reservoir Dolls, courtesy of Wipeout Scout.
Yeah, Busta Crimes should probably change her name to Bustin' Shoulders in Your Sternum, because she was a one-woman wrecking crew holding back Fang Dangled that entire time so that Wipeout Scout was able to get out, pick up some more points, and lap her way back around the pack. Now Fang Dangled is out, and it looks like Wipeout Scout is being entertained by the blockers in red.
Wipeout Scout, of course, feels the power of the lead jammer position, calls it off right when her opponent is about to score points. 20-3, our new score in favor of the Res Dolls.
And the Mad Rollin' Dolls would like to thank Anthology. Anthology, a shop in downtown Madison featuring over 100 local and indie artists. They dig crafty chicks. You should check them out.
And back on the jammer line for the Unholy Rollers in the red and the gold. That is number 22, Tango de Muerte. She is going up against number 31, and I literally mean up against. That is Lady Hoo-Ha. And speak of the devil, Lady Hoo-Ha is your lead jammer for the Reservoir Dolls.
Lady Hoo-Ha, ever the fashionista, also quite the bashionista, as she got herself with ease through that pack to pick up lead jammer status, Norb. Unfortunately for Lady Hoo-Ha, she does have a teammate. That's her captain, 9mm, is going to the penalty box. Shenanigans will be sitting in the sin bin for up to 1 minute.
Tango de Muerte sneaks through the inside past Kaiser Susie. She's free from the pack and ready to start scoring points.
Are you saying, and like that, Tango was gone right past Kaiser Susie? As the jam gets called, 3 more roller derby points picked up by the Res Dolls. 3 on the board for the Unholy Rollers, 23 for the Res Dolls, with 23 minutes and 54 seconds to go in the first period.
And we have Magic Missile wearing the star for the Unholy Rollers, and Charlie Hustle donning the star for the Reservoir Dolls for the first time this bout.
Looks like she's going to take one of those Canadian Football League style starts. For those of you that just can't get enough of the American gridiron action. The rule is you can't be picking up motion when you cross the jammer line, but you can be in motion. Anyway, lead jammer for the Unholy Rollers. That is number D4, Magic Missile.
Yes, the Unholy Rollers did have the pack advantage as one of the captains for the Res Dolls, Shenanigans, is in the penalty box. They definitely took it to their advantage to get their jammer out, to get lead jammer status. As she passes up a few blockers at the back of the pack, does a 180 around Mouse. She's trying to call for the jam. The jam does get called. Was it in time? No, 1 point was awarded to the Res Dolls.
Now it's important to remember, Magic Missile did pass 4 skaters, but she did get 5 points because she got a ghost point for Shenanigans, who was serving out her time in jammer jail.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. Once you pass the rearmost blocker, you pick up all those quote-unquote ghost points. It's as though that skater in the penalty box is still on the track, so they are an eligible point.
It's like when you're playing baseball in the backyard and you don't have enough guys and you got to have Ghost Man. Anyway, this boat's going to go on forever because it's 24/7 on and off that jammer line for the first time tonight. I believe that is number 15 for the Unholy Rollers. That's Mac the Knife. She is going up against number 10 inches in the black and the white of the Reservoir Dolls. That is a Sproutin' a tail.
Mac the Knife slices up the inside, picking up lead jammer for the Unholy Rollers. About 10 feet behind her, however, is number 10 herself, Sproutin' a Tail. Busted Crimes heading to the penalty box. So we're going to have a 4-3 advantage in the favor of the Unholy Rollers. Who is it going to help out in this positioning, though, as Mac the Knife is fighting against a wall of black, being forced back to the back of the pack, Norb?
Well, sometimes it's not all about numbers. Val Capone, Reservoir Dolls doing a nice job of just gunking up, using their 3 available blockers, gunking up that front of that pack. Mac the Knife does get through. She finally calls it off after a hard-fought 4 points for the Res Dolls. But, for the Unholy Rollers. But 3 points gained in the interim by the Reservoir Dolls. That is a 1-point net gain for said Reservoir Dolls. Back on the jammer line for the Reservoir Dolls in the black and the white. That is number 31, Lady Hoo-Ha. She is going up against number 22 in the red and the gold of the Unholy Rollers, and that is Tango de Muerte.
And there is a black wall of death that is missing one player as Busted Crime sitting in the penalty box. Big wall of red and gold at the back of the pack, trying to ruin a bit of Lady Hoo-Ha's day. El Machete doing a great job of solo blocking, although she got a little bit of teamwork right there from CC Ripjaw, number 206 of the Unholy Rollers. Looks like we do have a lead jammer, and it is Tango de Muerte. Man, 1-2, 1-2 every jam for the last few jams, Norb. We've had one jammer out, another jammer on their tail.
They are on each other like Nina on Menasha. However, the Reservoir Dolls now significantly lessened due to penalty trouble. They've got 2 blockers in the box. That is 4 points for the Unholy Rollers, who cut into that Reservoir Doll lead. Also 4 points scored by Lady Hoo-Ha. Oh, but the Res Dolls. Looks like Whistler is indicating a malfeasance of some sort. The action too fast and furious for my mind to process.
Couldn't get through that fuzzy purple hat of yours, I guess. Tango de Muerte hit the ground and hit the jam. Right there calling the jam. 18 points on the board for the Unholy Rollers, 31 for the Res Dolls. 20 minutes and 19 seconds left to go, Jack.
And we would like to thank Anala Salon and Spa with locations at Hilldale and on Atwood Avenue. Derby-owned shop. You might get your hair cut by the Unholy's own Blanche Devereaux.
And on the jammer line for the first time tonight for the Unholy Rollers in the red and the gold, and mashing the other jammer, that is Twisted Halo. She's going up against number 4 in the black and the white, squeaking by on the inside. Unfortunately, there is it
looks like a major forearm called. As we all know, there are no minors ever again as long as we both shall live in flat track roller derby. Mouse is going to be going to the penalty box. She did get through. It looked like she was going to call lead jammer. Instead, she got called, sent to the box. Looks like she's going to call back onto the track. It wasn't ref error, but unfortunately for the Unholies, their jammer, Twisted Halo, is now sitting in the penalty box. Nice side sweeping block by number 2, Dutch Oven, taking number 8 of the Unholy Rollers as Hannah Cuffs, kind of isolating her at the back of the plaque, doing a great saran wrap wall around her.
Now the ref is counting that as Mouse's initial pass. She did not score any points, but she did that time. That would be a
all right, so we do have
5-point grand slam for Mouse and your Reservoir Dolls.
And we do have another ref clarification. They did have to double check, make sure she didn't cause a single infraction on her first time through the pass. She, in fact, is awarded lead jammer status. So Mouse is now on a 10-point jam, but she's got that lead jammer card in the back of her pocket, Norb.
I think she ought to get bonus at least style points for the scoring that first Grand Slam via a nifty apex jump. And it looks like the Unholy Rollers will be suddenly 2 blockers under a full load. That's another Grand Slam. 5 more points for the Res Dolls. Res Dolls attempting to break this one open early. Score appears to be 41-18 at the all-important 18 minutes and 22 second mark of the first period.
Now, calling off that jam was an excellent strategic call by Mouse. With 3 people in the penalty box for the Unholy Rollers, that's going to give Wipeout Scout almost a sure lead jammer status, and she's going to get 5 points every time she passes. It looks like Spazicus and Mac the Knife on the Unholy Rollers.
Well, you never can tell what's going to happen out on that track, Jack. I have seen one blocker hold back a jammer long enough for her compadres to get released from the penalty box. But it looks like right here it did work out in the favor of Wipeout Scout as she does get past the 2 blockers in gold and red. She is out for lead jammer status once again for the Reservoir Dolls, Norb.
Well, thank you, Val Capone. And what's even more interesting than that is that if you have a gray 4-door car and your license plate is 587 TCP, you've got your headlights on. And you're going to be bummed when you go out and have to shut your headlights on and try to start your car. 587 TCP, your headlights are on. Go fix them so we can return to talking about roller derby and no longer be concerned about you. That's 4 more points for the Res Dolls, I tell you, Val Capone.
It looks like Buster Crime's going to be going to the penalty box. Not happy about that one. She told me, yes, Val, it is frustrating to go to the penalty box. 18 on the board for the Unholy Rollers, 50 points for the Res Dolls. We got 17 minutes left in the first period, Jack.
And the Mad Rollin' Dolls would like to thank Texas Tubs. They've been a Feed the Dolls sponsor. Texas Tubs Taco Palace at 2009 Atwood Avenue. Tacos, tequilas, and fun.
And Lady Hoo-Ha, number 31 for the Res Dolls, gets out first is lead jammer.
Tango de Muerte doing quite a tango behind that large wall of the Res Dolls. Looks like Shenanigans will be taking a seat in the penalty box. That'll open up just enough that Tango de Muerte breaks free. Don't let your eyes deceive you. The Reservoir Dolls jammer is not, in fact, behind the Unholy Rollers jammer. She's almost a full lap ahead of you. Lady Hoo-Ha now primed to score Val Capone.
It sure looked like they installed a revolving door on the penalty box. So many players were going in and so many players were going out. I couldn't even tell who was who anymore. But I can tell you that Lady Hoo-Ha is fighting at the top of the pack against the pivot for the Unholy Rollers. Did get past. Let's see if she picked up that last point. Yep, that's 4 points on that last pass for the Res Dolls, adding to that lead. 22 on the board for the Unholy Rollers, 54 for the Res Dolls, 15:52 to go, Norb.
And for the first time tonight on the jammer line, that is number 9 for the Unholy Rollers. That is Rita Slayworth. She is going up against in the black and the white of the Res Dolls. Number 4, Mouse. 54-22 is our score, as Val pointed out earlier.
It's kind of unique about this lineup. Both Blanche Devereaux and Mouse were founding members of the Mad Rolling Dolls skating in their 9th season. So very rare founder versus founder jam that we will have after this timeout. And this timeout is brought to you by Fundamental Pete's Ask Jammery on WSUM. Wednesdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Based on the tradition of loading a donkey with gifts and sending it across the desert. Learn more at fundamentalpete.com.
We have got an official timeout right now. They are just clarifying a bit of a technical matter regarding the score. If the scoreboard can now be believed, it is 58-22 in favor of the Res Dolls, aka home.
Now, I could be wrong, but it is a 36-point differential between these two teams, so every point counts. Got to make sure every single one was earned appropriately. Once again, we do have Mouse lined up on the inside in black for the Res Dolls, and on the outside in red and gold is Rita Slayworth. Mouse and Rita being forced to the outside by the Unholy Rollers. Rita looking for a little bit of assistance. Whistles being blown. I believe penalties are being thrown. Mouse is out for lead jammer.
Looks like Unholy Rollers are going to be shedding a blocker, and it also looks like they might be shedding a jammer. Yeah, that is a jammer penalty on the Unholy Rollers. That is going to be a power jam situation for the Res Dolls. Reservoir Dolls are also enjoying a 1 blocker advantage. in addition to a 1 jammer advantage, which is, oh my goodness, most untouched for a Grand Slam, Al Capone.
Heavy Metal did a great job of getting past that black wall of the Resdolls. Resdolls had their sights on her. She did get up with her teammate, which is crucial, Norb. So much better, so much stronger together. Well, the Resdolls are just kind of taking a breather, saying, man, I really love this jam line. Let's let Mouse jam right past it. As Mouse hits a dead stop at the back of the red wall, they're going to have to let her go, getting another 5 points, Norb.
The psychology of if you are a Resdoll right now, you're obviously trying to just slow motion down like Einstein predicted would happen as you approach absolute zero. They want things as slow as legally possible. That will allow Mouse the most opportunity for scoring. And Unholy Rollers attempting to put together that sort of Red Rover defense, not working. Mouse shooting through. Big jam for the Resdolls. They have opened a sizable lead. I believe that is 55 points.
And we have our first tweet of the night, Brigida. She says she's a Derby version. She wants to know, are the Reservoir Dolls the Mad Rollin Dolls? Actually, the Mad Rollin Dolls are comprised of 4 teams. The Reservoir Dolls, the Unholy Rollers, who you see here now, the Quad Squad, which will be up in the bout after this one, and the Vaudeville Vixens, which have a bye tonight. The Mad Rollin Dolls are the league, and there's 4 teams that make up the league. If you would like to do a shout-out, there is a shout-out box at the merchandise table for $1, which goes to the Boys and Girls Club of America. You can make us say silly things.
And lead jammer for the Reservoir Dolls in the black and the white. That is number 10 inches, sprouting the tail. Reservoir Dolls looking to build on that 65-point lead. Not 55, as my faulty mathematics indicated earlier.
And it looks like an Unholy Roller is going to be sent off to the penalty box, a major forearm.
It seems those seats in the penalty box would be comfortably warm at this point in time.
I am Spazicus, headed to the sin bin. Oh, look at this. We have a nice palindrome on the line. We have a jammer palindrome.
I don't know if you drink on that according to the official rules, but you might as well. Number 13 for the Unholy Rollers, that is Twisted Halo. She's going up against number 31 in the black and the white, and the aqua highlights for the Resdolls. That is Lady Hoo-Ha. Looks like both teams down 1 blocker, so no strategic advantage to speak of at present. Unholy Rollers really trying to knot up that front of that pack. Thus far, the binding arbitration works, and out and free for the Unholy Rollers. That is number 13, Twisted Halo, your lead jammer. You must have to be a really awesome skater to get number 13 if you're on the Unholy Rollers. I don't think they give that to the rookies. Meanwhile, the law of equivalent exchange seems to be sending blockers from both teams to the penalty box.
Yeah, that's Kaiser Susie of the Resdolls, and hello, Sailor, the captain for the Unholy Rollers.
Resdoll still with a 1 blocker advantage. Meanwhile, it is Lip Smacker who is taking on all the existent Reservoir Dolls blockers. Sort of like a binary system, and out and through. 4 points for the Resdolls, courtesy of Lady Hoo-Ha.
Twisted Halo has 2 blockers left at the top of the back. Lips, Macker, and Shenanigans. Shenanigans does have to let her go for being fear of being out of play. 4 points picked up by the Unholy Rollers' own Twisted Halo. No pack is called by the referees. That was not a field goal attempt there, Reverend Norb. They were saying, tighten it up, ladies. As a big takeout block onto Lady Hoo-Ha.
And no pack is declared. That means that you must let the other jammer, or any jammer at point of fact, you must let them pass through unmolested like an ambulance or other emergency vehicle. Reservoir Dolls over the century mark right now. I don't think they mind trading points with the Unholy Rollers at this juncture.
And we have another tweet. Paul Wilson would like to know, why do the blockers have to stop and wait sometimes? Well, they don't have to stop. They choose to stop, especially when the jammer for the other team is in the penalty box. What they're doing is they're slowing down the pack because if the members from the other team skate with it 20, I think it's 20 yards is considered, 20 feet is considered the zone of engagement. So they're trying to lure the other team into engaging the jammer outside the zone of engagement, and then those blockers would have to go to the penalty box as well. It's purely for strategy.
Well, let me give you the cliff notes. Basically, it means if you're playing passive offense, you're not doing anything to help your jammer.
Well,
And lead jammer is acquired by number 33 for the Res Dolls. That is Charlie Hustle, by golly. She is your lead jammer. Darned if she's not. Meanwhile, Res Dolls will be shedding another blocker. They are sending number 54 to the penalty box. That is Violet Fire, though she is not violet. She is a black and white like all. Magic Missile bobbing and weaving gets around Mouse. And that's 4 points apiece. That's a horse apiece or 4 horses apiece. I'm not sure. Status quo maintained. Oh, Charlie Hustle tries the jammer takedown on Magic Missile. Calls the jam off from her knees when it is not going to plan. However, I believe the score is going to be in the neighborhood of 108-43. A large, substantial, and vociferous lead for the Res Dolls. Back on the jammer line for said Res Dolls in the black and the white, wearing number 6. That is Wipeout Scout. She is going against number bit for the Holy Rollers. That is Fang Dangled. Thank you, Val Capone.
You're welcome, Reverend Norb.
it is rookie versus rookie in this jam. Wipeout Scout and Fandangle both in their inaugural seasons with the Mad Rollin Dolls. And coming around the third turn, Fandangle is just laying waste to everything in her path. Scooting to the outside, past Sprout and the Tail. She is your lead jammer for the Unholy Rollers, Fandangled.
And Hello Sailors going to the penalty box again for the Unholy Rollers, as the Unholy Rollers are looking to help their jammer get through that black wall up top. Taken to the outside is Fandangle. She's going to call the jam, hopefully in order to prevent the scoring of Wipeout Scout. Yes, she did. 1 point picked up by Fandangled, 0 for Wipeout Scout.
108-44, our new score. That is Hank Aaron's jersey number versus a number that's divisible by 3, I'll tell you that. Speaking of threes, number 3-1 on the jammer line once again for the Reservoir Dolls in the black and the white. That is Lady Hoo-Ha. She is going up against number 22 in the black and the gold of the Unholy Rollers. That better be Tango de Muerte, or I'm just not memorizing things properly.
The dance of death, Tango de Muerte. It looks like Lady Hoo-Ha is Lady Lead Jam as she got out of the pack. Tango de Muerte also out of the pack. Pack at almost a dead stop. Now it regains a little bit of speed as Lady Hoo-Ha calls the jam after picking up 4 more points, Jack.
Just nickel and dime your way to a substantial lead with a score of 112-44. With 6 minutes left in play, we would like to remind anyone who is interested in entering the Big Lebowski costume contest to please make your way to the merchandise table during halftime of this bout. In 6 minutes and 21 seconds, we'd like to see you at the merch table so we can judge you.
We got Mouse, number 4, facing off against number D4 for the Unholy Rollers. That is Magic Missile. That's a good combo right there, 4 on D4. And it looks like D4 got out for lead jammer, Norb.
Indeed she did. She got a nice little juke move to get her onto the inside. And she is not far ahead of her opposite number, Mouse. Let's see how she handles that. She is driven down by Charlie Hustle, calls the jam off from a seated position, but not before Mouse scores her jersey number 4-1. In curling, I think they call it stealing the end when you're not lead jammer, although they don't have lead jammers in curling and you score more
Mouse
points.
calls
than
it
that's supposed
stealing the cheese.
Do you want to steal cheese? On the jammer line for the first time tonight for the Unholy Rollers in the red and the gold, that is number 73 BC. I am Spazicus. And she's going up against number 10 inches, Sprout and the Tail in the black and the white of the Reservoir Dolls. And Sprout and the Tail out and about after some jostling. She is lead jammer once again for the Reservoir Dolls. Meanwhile, The Unholy Rollers will be shedding a blocker, as has plagued them throughout the first half of this period thus far.
Twisted Halo ending up in the penalty box for the Unholy Rollers, as is Knocking Jay for the Reservoir Dolls.
And that's a 5-point grand slam for Sprouting a Tail from the Reservoir Dolls.
Sprouting a Tail has already put 5 points in her pocket via the grand slam method, and as soon as I say that, as if on cue, that's another grand slam for Sprouting a Tail and the Reservoir Dolls. Whistler says there is no pack. The pack reforms as a good pack should.
So quickly, no pack, so quickly pack. As five more points picked up by Wipeout Scout. Oh, excuse me, that is Sprouting a Tail. To the box again is Hello Sailor for the Unholy Rollers.
I am unclear on why I do not actually see a tail on Sprouting a Tail. Gene Lane, number 366 for the Reservoir Dolls, is taking a seat. Revolving door in effect on the penalty box. I think it'd be easier just to tell you who's not in the box as it would who's in the box. And, banged it to the outside. Sprouting a Tail finds the goal one a bit tough, calls it off from turn one. Not before scoring 3 more points as opposed to 2 for the Unholy Rollers. And I think that's going to leave us with a score of 139-47 with 3 minutes and 27 seconds left in the first period of the first game.
And Sarah P. shot us a tweet at AskMRD. Why do they keep touching their hips? Well, if you are the lead jammer, you can end the jam by touching your hips 4 times. The jam either goes for the 2 minutes on the jam clock or until the lead jammer calls off the jam. If you have questions about gameplay, shoot us the bird. Send us a tweet at AskMRD.
So keep an eye, folks, on the lead jammer for the Res Dolls. That is Lady Hoo-Ha. You'll see when she decides to call the jam, she'll touch those hips feverishly. That's how you know that she wants the gameplay to stop.
Actually, you want to watch her because with that pass, she just scored her 500th career point milestone for Lady Hoo-Ha.
Yeah, Lady Hoo-Ha might be a lead jammer, but she is probably not going to be calling off the jam anytime soon. The jammer for the Unholy Rollers in the penalty box, that's Power Jam, and another 5 points for the Res Dolls. If you hate people, you'll like this jam because there's only 5 people on the track, and that's pretty much the legal minimum. And I believe we just had the 3rd grand slam pocketed by Lady Hoo-Ha, who is now being driven to the outside corner by staunch Unholy Rollers defense. Not before scoring, I believe, her 4th grand slam, her 20th point. Oh, the jam. He breaks through again with another grand slam. Lady Hoo-Ha, a one-doll wrecking crew. And she realizes that the Unholy Rollers jammer, Mac of the Knife, is in and about. She is going to call off that jam after scoring a ton of points. 168-47 is our new score as we dip under the 90-second mark in the first period. This may or may not be our last jam of the half, but I tell you one gosh darn thing about it, we're going to have Mouse on the jammer line for the Res Dolls, wearing number 4 and number D4 for the Unholy Rollers. That's Magic Missile.
This is the 3rd time Magic Missile and Mouse have faced off against each other on the jammer line. The first time Mouse was lead jammer, the second time Magic Missile was lead jammer. This is the rubber match. And it looks like Magic Missile is gonna go to jammer jail, which is gonna...
And Magic Missile taking a seat. That is going to sort of lessen the magic. Mouse out and through, but not lead jammer. I don't believe we are going to have a lead jammer.
It looks like she did cut the track. Reverend Norb, that's coming in from the jam ref, following Missile. 5 points out there for Mouse. I believe Mouse has also broken a pretty historic mark tonight. Yeah.
She has. Mouse has scored her 1,800th career point.
And that's because Mouse has been playing for 1,800 years.
She has. She is one of the founding members of the Mad Rollin' Dolls, skating in her 9th season.
And she doesn't like that at all.
And apparently she's tired of skating because she's going to go take a little sit down for a while.
Well, when you skate for 1,800 years in 9 seasons, that's a lot of skating. She's got to take a breather every now and again.
But we must have a jammer, so when Mouse sits down, Magic Missile is going to be released. But Mouse will only serve the same amount of time in the penalty box that Magic Missile was forced to serve. But until that time, Magic Missile is a pack advantage, and she's going to do everything she can to put some points on the board for the Unholy Rollers.
Well, that is easier said than done, as staunch defense being played by Dutch Oven and the rest of her cohorts on the Reservoir Dolls.
And for those of you that were wondering about that passive offense, this jam is a great example of what Jack was speaking about, as you saw Res Dolls go into the penalty box because they were out of play.
Violet Fire was lured outside that 20-foot zone of engagement, so she's going to go have a little sit-down for a while.
And in case you're wondering why we're still playing roller derby, even though the clock says 0, once you dip under the 0 mark, it is the jam clock, the thing that measures how far along you are in the 2-minute lifespan of a jam that takes over, not the actual half. And speaking of the half, that is the conclusion of the first half. Our score appears to be tilted heavily towards the Res Dolls, 178-67, unless they're lying to me.
Anybody interested in the Big Lebowski costume contest, please make your way to the merchandise table.
Yum, yum. It's time for a tasty and refreshing snack. We promise to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, your sweet tooth. So visit our refreshment center now. Let's go!
All right, so it looks like we're getting the thumbs up, so says Whistler, saying let's get this show on the road. We got 30 minutes left between these two teams, and then we have a whole nother action-packed bout for you after this one. 62 on the board for the Unholy Rollers and 178 for the Reservoir Dolls.
And it looks like both teams are going to be starting out one blocker short. A 3-on-3 in the blocker department, 1-on-1 in the jammer department. And we have a shift to the right like a poorly constructed hut on Gilligan's Island, and out and through, starting the second half off well for the Reservoir Dolls. That is number 22, Tango de Muerte, your lead jammer.
Now the Res Dolls are still skating a little thin, with Violet Fire still serving out her penalty from the first half.
Yes, I am Spazicus just went to the penalty box. She is the pivot for the Unholy Rollers. Looks like she went to the penalty box for a forearm major, as Busta Crimes does a last-ditch effort to take out the jammer, but Tango de Muerte gets right past her, picking up 4 points for the Unholy Rollers. Wipeout Scout is going to be let go by Rita Slayworth, and hello, Sayla. She picked up 4 points for the Res Dolls. Norb.
I tell you, that was excellent defense being played at that front of that pack by the Reservoir Dolls in the red and the gold. They, oh dear, and just as soon as I compliment them, misery befalls them, as there is a jammer penalty that is going to put a power jam situation into play for the Res Dolls and number 6, Wipeout Scout. Looks like car 54 for the Reservoir Dolls. A Violet Fire will be taking a seat in the penalty box. However, that is nowhere near as injurious as losing your jammer. And that is a grand slam for Wipeout Scout. Reservoir Dolls have righted the miniature incursion into their lead promulgated at the beginning of this jam. And I'm running out of big words, Val Capone.
I believe you are, but I'm enjoying the Britney Spears. Thank you to Mad City DJs for representing. Much love. Unfortunately for number 54, Violet Fire, I believe she started this jam in the penalty box, went right back. For those of you that are keeping score at home, you get 7 trips to the sin bin per bout before you foul out of the game.
And for those of you that keep track of the Packer jersey numbers, retired 66 the score of the Reservoir Dolls, of the Unholy Rollers. Not a great score to have right now, but it is Ray Nitschke's jersey number. That is going to be 4 more points for the Reservoir Dolls and 3 points for the Unholy Rollers. And I think we're going to have 199-69. No jokes come to mind, so I'll just tell you that back on that jammer line for the Reservoir Dolls in the black and the white, wearing number 4, it is Mouse.
And we'd like to thank Be Cool Entertainment, spinning the awesome music tonight. Be Cool Entertainment is your entertainment headquarters. Check them out at BeCoolEntertainment.com. And coming out of the second turn, Mouse is your lead jammer.
Mouse started off in a Very short-lived power jam situation, but it occurred long enough that you could take full advantage of it, leveraging the advantage to gain lead jammerdom.
Magic Missile getting dangerously close to the zone, outside the zone of engagement. Let's Mouse go, and Mouse calls off the jam.
On the jammer line for the first time tonight for the Reservoir Dolls, that is number K155, or Kiss Lipsmacker. She is going up against number 15. That is Mac the Knife for the Unholy Rollers in the red and the gold.
For Black Blockers facing off against two red and golds. There's been a revolving door to the sin bin this whole period, unfortunately, for both teams. Mac the Knife is trying to fight off against Lady Hoo-Ha, Kaiser Susie, but it looks like a lead jammer has been declared, and it is the Res Dolls' own K155. That's Lipsmacker.
When it rains, it pours. Mac the Knife heading to the penalty box on a track cut. That is going to be the world's briefest power jam for the Reservoir Dolls, because now Lipsmacker taking a seat in the penalty box. The law of equivalent exchange, as advertised so heavily on Full Metal Alchemist, demands that the Unholy Rollers jammer now comes back, and Lipsmacker is going to spend just as much time in the penalty box as the Unholy Rollers jammer.
Now, since both of the jammers were in the penalty box, there is no lead jammer for this bout. It will go for the remainder of the jam clock, 1 minute and 8 seconds.
I Am Spazicus playing some tough defense in there. Back block being issued on, my goodness, second trip to the box for a Mac the Knife. That is a back block sending her back in there. That is going to put the power jam on the foot of the Reservoir Dolls. The metaphorical foot, and that's a grand slam for the Reservoir Dolls, building a rather substantial lead, courtesy of Lipsmacker.
And here's some more of that passive offense we were talking about before. The Res Dolls have stopped completely, so Lipsmacker is trying to lure the Unholy Rollers outside the zone of engagement. They knocked her out of bounds. She has to come in behind them, or she will be committing a track cut, and she'll have to go to jammer jail. She's trying to make the most of this power jam situation, and she passed 3 and got 5. She's doing a good job so far.
Now, when you saw the Unholy Rollers backing up there, that wasn't any kind of weird design strategy. Oh, my goodness. That is a direction of play penalty on number 13, Twisted Halo with the Unholy Rollers, but not before she levels Lipsmacker of the Reservoir Dolls. 4 more points for the Reservoir Dolls, building on an already substantial lead. 219 to 69 is our score. I think that's an even 150-point lead. A veritable sesquicentennial, if you will. And that's an official timeout.
And this timeout is brought to you by Bunky's Cafe, 2425 Atwood Avenue. Enjoy our relaxed atmosphere, superb staff, and delicious food. Bunky's Cafe on Atwood Avenue.
I like that scoreboard that just says 1971, better than 219 to 71. Just because if it was 1971, the Milwaukee Bucks would be your world champions.
Oh, I'm so thrilled it's not 1971, Norm.
It was a good year. Unless you're a music lover.
Oh, and it looks like we almost had a push-up competition here on the Res Doll bench. We're doing a little clapping push-ups right now, Lady Hoo-Ha.
I don't know, some of that's a little bit kind of verging on doing the worm, I think.
And Fist Amendment are doing some clapping push-ups. Getting the team pumped up. Looks like we got a little come at me bro rodeo happening between Knocking Gay and Sprout and Tail.
You never see skaters with skates on doing squat thrusts. I just don't understand it.
We have a very special sponsor shout out tonight. Earth Needs You. Visit Tertiaps Trunctus Studios in the lobby to become a test pilot for their new game, The Day We Fought Space. And that should have been pronounced Tertiaps Truncatus.
The Day We Fought Space.
I believe that game was developed by the Vaudeville Vixen's own Tipsy Velvet. She is test marketing the game in the main lobby throughout the bouts. At halftime, go check it out. It's a lot of fun.
When decorum is reestablished, it does appear that a Sprout and a Tail, number 10 inches, will be the jammer of note for the Reservoir Dolls. and the only jammer on the track, as they will be starting in a power jam situation. It's also occurred to me that their score, 219, is also an Indiana area code. And the crowd goes wild.
This timeout is being brought to you by Wild Easttown Honda. Be a lead jammer and call off the jam for a Grand Slam savings at Wild Easttown Honda. We won't block your best deal. Tonight's after party is at the Badger Bowl. Come bowling with the dolls. Be an achiever, have a white Russian, get a high score, and don't be fascist, Jeffrey.
Will there be dancing there? That's what I need to know. Where's there dancing? That's where I want to be.
Badger Bowl just sounds like one of those fur-lined eating utensils that Merritt Oppenheimer used to, create for his Dadaist sculpture movement. I can't quite get past that, but I bet it's an awesome place.
While I don't disagree with your sentiment, sir, I do believe they're working on it and make sure everything's on the up and up, if you will. He was holding up a sign that said, "Let's play some derby." I can't disagree with that sentiment, but the refs and the NSOs are just doing their job to make this game that we love so much a legitimate sport.
And the Mad Rollin' Dolls would like to thank the Inferno Club, 1718 Commercial Avenue, Madison's hottest club, the Inferno, right next to the Hartmeyer Arena, where we'll be having our summer season.
All right, that timeout was due to a challenge by the Unholy Rollers having to do with their jammer being called for a direction of play penalty on Twisted Halo. The Unholies contended that, meanwhile, lead jammer is for the Unholy Rollers, and that is, for the Reservoir Dolls, Sprout and Tail. They were contending that there was actually a low block at first by the Reservoir Dolls skater. However, the officials determined that the low block was the result of the direction of play block, and the play stands as called. Huzzah, Grand Slam, Sprout and Tail.
Huzzah. And a forearm major is going to be called on Gene Lane.
You guys are so old school, you still say major. Not me, man. I'm streamlined. And that's going to be 4 more points for the Reservoir Dolls, and then it's going to be combated by 4 points for the Unholy Rollers. Unholy Rollers really can't afford to merely trade points. However, they have to hope that points fall from the sky in great bunches for the next 23 minutes and 23 seconds.
Don't let that scoreboard fool you if you're looking at the one by the American flag. Yes, there are 75 points on the board 78 points on the board for the Unholy Rollers, but there are actually 232. There should be a 2 in front of the 32 for the Res Dolls.
I wonder how much extra they would have had to pay for that scoreboard to have something other than a 1 or a nothing as the first digit. Obviously an exorbitant fee. Oh, we've got Fang Dangled on the jammer line for the Unholy Rollers. That's number Bit. She is going up against number 4 for the Res Dolls. That is, of course, Mouse and Easy as Pie or Easy as Cheese. Mouse is your lead jammer.
Not only is Mouse your lead jammer for the Res Dolls, that was her 250th time getting lead jammer. That's right, you should clap for that because that ain't easy to do, folks. That's her 250th time in her 250th year skating for the Mad Rollin' Dolls and the Res Dolls.
That is 3 milestones for the Reservoir Dolls in this bout.
That's a 250,000. And there's another one, 5 more points for the Res Dolls, who are now opening up a can of whoop something or another. Fang Dangle through for 4 points. Reservoir Dolls apparently feeling no real reason to play this one particularly close to the vest given their strategic situation. Mouse looks for instructions from the brain trust on the bench. They're like, nah, just skate. A spirited display at the center of the play. Looks like we have got a low block on a Reservoir Doll. That is Busta Crimes, and another 5 points for the Reservoir Dolls. And never the twain shall meet, and that is answered by 4 points for the Unholy Rollers, courtesy of Fang Dangled. Unholy Rollers now add a blocker of their own. That's number 900, El Machete.
Rita Slayworth trying to go for that last-ditch effort. She does slow Mouse down just a little bit. Mouse picking up 4 points on that last pass. 4 points also awarded to B1T. That's Fang Dangled. Rita Slayworth trying to get in the way of Mouse, but Mouse squeaks up the inside, picking up 4 more points, Norb.
Val Capone, I don't know what the over-under is on this game, but I certainly hope you bet the over.
I don't do math.
And we got another tweet from the @AskMRD Twitter feed. Danielle would like to know, how do we get free beer? Let's just say what happens at the after party stays at the after party.
And that, Val Capone, was a 30-point jam for the venerable Mouse.
Well, I do believe Mouse deserves a free beer at the after party, wouldn't you say so, folks?
One can only hope. Meanwhile, lead jammer, that's number 22 for the Unholy Rollers, Tango de Muerte.
And out about half a track behind her is number 31, Lady Hoo-Ha. Her teammate now out of the penalty box. That is Buster Crimes. Buster Crimes with a long extended whip. Whipping her teammate all the way around the pack. That was a nice slingshot setup, kind of a shake and bake maneuver. Ricky Bobby would be proud.
Oh, I'm hungry for
Tango
chicken.
slams into that black and white wall of the Reservoir Dolls as Lady Hoo-Ha skips through the outside for 4 points.
And number 34 for the Reservoir Dolls, taking a seat in the penalty box. That is Kaiser Susie gracing the sin bin with her presence. Meanwhile, another grand slam for the Res Dolls, courtesy of Lady Hoo-Ha.
Kaiser Susie going to the penalty box for a blocking out of bounds infraction.
And we got a shout out from the Boys and Girls Club shout out box over at the merch table for Hannah Cuffs. The Chesterton Moms love you.
Yeah, Chesterton Moms. Loving Hannah.
I see them. They got a sign and everything.
Something tells me these are the Chesterton Moms.
I think those are the
you should
Chesterton
stand
Moms
up.
over behind the Team Unicorn banner.
Stand up and say hello to the crowd, ladies.
They're the best moms in the world.
The Besterton Moms from Chesterton.
This timeout was, if I could read people's body English correctly, assigned to the Unholy Rollers. And Roller Derby, you have 3 timeouts. They gotta last you the whole game. They do not regenerate during halftime.
We would like to thank the Fast Forward Skate Center. Come and discover the fun of roller skating at Fast Forward. And the Freedom Skate Shop, skater owned in the heart of Madison, 434 State Street, home of the Derby Armory.
On that jammer line for the Res Dolls, that's number 6 in the black and the white. That is Wipeout Scout. She is going up against number D4 in the red and the gold of the Unholy Rollers. That better be Magic Missile, or I've been severely misinformed all bout long.
Magic Missile fighting off against 2 blockers in black at the top of the pack. Charlie Hustle now rejoining the fray at the back of the pack. Lee Jammer is going to be going Magic Missile D4 for the Unholy Rollers. Unholy Rollers bench getting a little motivation for their team. Wipeout Scout now out of the pack. Missile takes the outside. She's got 2 blockers, passes them. See how many points she picked up on that last pass, Norb? I do believe that is 4 points.
I am a dope from Green Bay, but even I think that's 4 fingers being held in the air by Jam Ref Eddie Lizard. Oh, around on the inside, virtually untouched. That is 5 points. That's a grand slam for Magic Missile. It is partially countered by a 4-point pass by Wipeout Scout for the Reservoir Dolls. I believe the aggregate scoring up until this particular pass was 9-4, so a 5-point advantage thus far. Around and outside with a 4-point pass of her own, that is Wipeout Scout, and Magic Missile also threw on that scoring pass. Magic Missile on her 4th scoring pass, I believe, and Wipeout Scout on her 3rd. If that's not right, just forget I said anything. Pack starting to undergo some sort of cellular meiosis. That's another 4 points for the Reservoir Dolls. Unholy Rollers break the century mark on this particular jam.
And we have another shout out from the shout out box at the merch table. Happy birthday, Denise, Love, Robin, Andy, Alex, and Reagan. We hope you're enjoying your Derby birthday.
And on the jammer line for the Unholy Rollers, that's number 9, Rita Slayworth in the red and the gold. She is going up against Mouse in the black and the white, in case you did not know this. I would imagine you wouldn't know this, but just in case. And speak of the devil, Mouse out and around and through. Mouse, your lead jammer for the Rah-Rah-Rah Res Dolls.
Mouse cuts around the outside for what looks like a 5-point grand slam as Rita Slayworth is being held back by Heat, Violet Fire, and Charlie Hustle. She's through the pack and ready to start scoring.
We had all manner of almost penalties there, and eventually a penalty is called on the Unholy Rollers. Meanwhile, both skaters out and through, both skaters with fingers in the air, 4 apiece. Status quo largely maintained vis-a-vis a penalty, a point differential. And it looks like the whistler will be whistling metaphorically. Back of the knife off to the penalty box. She is beginning to pile up penalty minutes, Val Capone. Meanwhile, Mouse just does what she does.
We have another question from our @AskMRD Twitter feed. John would like to know why they don't advertise on their shorts. I can put you in touch with the sponsorship committee if you're interested.
All right, and it looks like, unfortunately for the Unholy Rollers, Mac the Knife, number 15 in red and gold, has indeed fouled out of the game. If you'll recall early on, when we saw a bit of penalty box trouble for both teams, I did brief you on how many trips to the sin bin you could take. There is 7 total in one bout that a skater can visit the penalty box, 7 trips. Mac, unfortunately, has maxed out, if you will. She does have 2 minutes to serve, so let's see who's going to be sitting for her as a sub. She's going to be serving 2 minutes, 1 for the initial penalty, and I believe the second for, well, we're going to get clarification on that second minute.
Mad Rollin' Dolls would like to thank Mad City Music, Madison's best selection of new and used vinyl, new releases and hard-to-find titles, new and used, vinyl CDs and more. Low prices on the best music, new and used, vinyl CDs and more.
Our score shall be 313 for the Reservoir Dolls. That is the Detroit, Michigan area code versus 119 for the Unholy Rollers, a number that does not strike me as numerically significant. Speaking of numerically significant, we've got number 22. That's Magic Missile on the jammer line for the Unholy Rollers in the red and the gold. She is going up against Lip Smacker, number Kiss, or K155. I'm not sure which for the Reservoir Dolls.
I'm going to go with Kiss because they're my number 3 rock and roll favorite band of all time. I'm also going to tell you that you guys should head on over by the merch tables. Not only can you pick up Mad Rollin' Dolls merchandise, but you can certainly pick up some Windy City Rollers merchandise. We do have a lead jammer. It's going to be going in the favor of Res Dolls. That is Lips Macker. The Manic Attackers, one of the home teams for the Windy City Rollers, have definitely brought some merch for you to peruse. Down goes Lips Macker. Tango de Morte has 2 blockers left at the top of the pack. They're going to have to let her go. Tango is out now, picking up points. It's going to be 4 more points for the Unholy Rollers. And Lips Macker is out as well, picking up 4 points for the Res Dolls. Now, when you're back there checking out the Manic Attackers merchandise, you can also go on back. And Jack, I believe there's a shout-out box.
Yes, there is.
If you donate $1, is that correct?
Yes, for $1.
Well, just for $1 minimum. That's not saying you can't donate $5, $10, $1.50. Whatever you would like.
You can donate any amount over $1. All of the proceeds will benefit the Boys and Girls Club of Dane County.
Oh, that's excellent. Keeping the kids off the streets, giving them something else awesome to do. So if you want to do something to help your community and feed your ego a little bit, I like doing that.
Absolutely. You can put in a shout out. You can wish somebody a happy birthday, a happy anniversary. Cheer on your favorite skater like the Chesterton moms do.
Cheer on your favorite announcers, Blazers. I'm kind of excited about these two. I didn't know it was Fancy Blazers / Crazy Glasses Day here at
I didn't know it was
Inline
Fancy
Center.
Hair Day.
But if you'd like to do a shout out and help your community, it's just $1. Although feel free to crack out a 5, a 20. Let's go for a Benjamin, shall we? And the shout out box is directly behind me, right underneath the Alliant Energy Center banner. We'll read your shout out as soon as we get it, as long as it's PG-13, folks, because there are plenty of kids here. We want to help benefit those kids, the Boys and Girls Club of Dane County, right?
Absolutely.
So
And
anyway.
we would like to thank Madtown Printing. Madtown Printing is Madison's premier apparel print shop and design center.
Whoa, we got Lady Hoo Ha and one of the
We have a
Hinkley
worm
production
off.
staff having a little warm off. Lady Hoo Ha, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Hoo Ha? Doing the worm, just killing a little time in
And-
the ref lane.
And the referee has declared Lady Hoo Ha the winner of the warm-off.
I think he said, "Wee, I love your worm. Now let's wrap it up."
Yeah, worm on the track. On the jammer line and not doing the worm, we've got number D4 for the Unholy Rollers. That is Magic Missile. She is going up against number 10 inches, Sprout Tail for the Res Dolls. Both scores divisible by 5, and that is all the people need to know.
Magic Missile trying to cut through the outside. Jukes and drives away to the inside, but Sprout the Tail is out on the second turn for your lead jammer.
Sprout Tail's cause really being helped by staunch defense at the front of that pack by the Res Dolls Triumvirate. They have since relinquished control of the Unholy Rollers jammer. However, she is significantly behind her opposite number. Sprout the Tail gets driven out of bounds on the front 40 or the back straightaway or whatever that's called, calls it off. I think we call that 2 points scored. 2 points scored for the Res Dolls. That's all we're going to have as we dip under the 13-minute mark. On the jammer line once again for the Reservoir Dolls, and number 4 in the black and the white. That's Mouse, and she is going up against, I think this is the first time we've seen her on the jammer line for the Unholy Rollers tonight. That is number Number 987, Splatter Alice.
Peter Sleeworth and Mike Mahler holding Mouse at bay as Splatter Alice takes lead jammer coming out of the third turn for your Unholy Rollers.
Looks like Charlie Hessel going to the penalty box for the Reservoir Dolls.
Nobody likes a Charlie in the box.
Ouch. Ouch. Splatter Alice doing a number at the top of the pack with the Heat and Dutch Oven, trying to string out the pack a bit. Mouse looking for a bit of a whip assist from Dutch Oven. Now she's saying hi and bye to Splatter Alice. Just a little friendly, hello, darling. 4 and 4 respectively for each team as the pack slows to an absolute crawl. Mouse hitting a wall of red and gold, being taken outside by that 73 BC. I am Spazicus.
And that's 4 more points for Mouse. Oh, jammer helping themselves. My goodness gracious. That is a bruising 4 points scored by Splatter Alice. Clears her own way. Like she's equipped with one of those cow catcher things they used to have on locomotives. Or perhaps not exactly like that.
All right, so a few shout outs here. We got some rolling in. Thank you so much to the fans of the Mad Rollin' Dolls for supporting the Boys and Girls Club of Dane County. Shout out to Helena on a hot, hot date tonight. I can't quite read the rest of this message, but it's very, very family friendly, let me assure you. We hope that she scores some big points tonight, is what her friends were saying, and that they love Magic Missile and Dutch Oven.
Blank, 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 Magic Missile, blank, 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 Dutch Oven.
You know what I love?
gonna save that
Supporting
one.
the community. Get on over here and we'll butcher up your personal shout out for a buck or $2 or a buck or 200, whatever you prefer.
And lead jammer goes to the Reservoir Dolls, courtesy of number 31, a Lady Hoo Ha 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 Ha. Jammer
Scarlet
of note.
Oatsnary is through, but she is not lead jammer.
Just in case you're wondering, we are seeing Scarlett O'Snaria for the first time jamming for their Unholy Rollers tonight. Both jammers score 4 points, but that 4 points a little bit more beneficial to the Unholy Rollers than it is, to the Reservoir Dolls than it is to the Unholy Rollers, as time and now their great ally, like Mick Jagger once said, but not so eloquently. Everything gunking up. Whistler saying the pack is here. Everybody's stepping out of bounds. We have got Twisted Halo. She is standing back and announcing to the world that, yes, I hit Lady Hoo-Ha out of bounds, and now she must re-enter behind me or pay the ultimate penalty. And indeed she does. And life goes on much as we know it.
I thought her name was Lady Wormia. Unfortunately for Twisted Halo, she got a bit twisted up and took out her own teammate, Scarlett O'Snaria.
I think in soccer they call that an own goal.
That's 4 more
breaks
points.
through on the outside for 4 more points for the Reservoir Dolls, and she calls off this jam. With a little under 9 minutes left to go. The score is 346 to 155. The Reservoir Dolls are in the lead. As Wipeout Scout faces off against Magic Missile.
I think we can kind of safely throw the descriptors, pitcher's battle, and defensive struggle out the window at this point.
Or we could look at the scoreboard and go, wow, this is a close one, 146 to 155. Who knows which way it's going to go.
We could be deceiving the youth with our
I would never want to
flippancy.
deceive the youth. I just want to give them dollars for each shout out that y'all write up and put in the box.
Around on the inside and lead jammer, that is number 6. Wipeout Scout for the the Reservoir Dolls. You may in fact notice that Magic Missile is in front of Wipeout Scout, but that does not mean that Wipeout Scout is not the lead jammer. Wipeout Scout calls it just as Magic Missile is about to hit the pack and begin scoring points. We maintain the status quo with 0 points for everybody. Get nothing and like it, and back on the jammer line for the Res Dolls. Number 4, that's Mouse. She's going up against number Bit. That is Fang Dangled in the red and the gold of the Unholy Rollers. Hey, I don't think anybody's in the penalty box.
I couldn't hear you over my jaw hitting the floor that no one's in the penalty box.
Maybe I should go sit in there, keep the seats warm. Absorb some of that free body heat. Meanwhile, out, stop me if you heard this before, lead jammer is Mouse of the Reservoir Dolls. Both skaters on their scoring pass. Mouse hits the pack, comes through the pack. That's going to be 4 more points for the Reservoir Dolls. Fang Dangle getting gummed up in the front of the pack. The Reservoir Dolls acting like the world's toughest bunch of licorice, only partially masticated. And it is now 4 points to the Unholy Rollers. And it's Mouse's turn to try to cleave through the McDonald's colors of the Unholy Rollers front line. 4 more points for the Reservoir Dolls. Looks like they are going to trade punches as long as the Reservoir Dolls are calling the shots. Charlie Hustle taking another seat in the penalty box for the Reservoir Dolls. She is getting pretty penalty heavy. Meanwhile, that's a grand slam for Mouse. And 4 points for Fang Dangled. Mouse has got one to beat as she does. Another 4-point pass for Mouse. Fang Dangled answers that. Again, maintaining the status quo regarding point differential.
And ladies and gentlemen, with that jam, Mouse has broken Lady Hoo-Ha's record for the most points scored in an individual bout. She stands at 143 points in this bout. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Mouse!
Didn't we actually just see that record getting set 2 months ago? In any event, lead jammer once again goes for the Reservoir Dolls. That's number 31. That's Lady Hoo-Ha. She's your lead jammer.
Well, not only was she very proud of her teammate, but I think she was a little inspired to say, hey, if Mouse can rack up some points and break my personal point total, I'm going to see what I can do out here and try to do the same.
Well, it was 2 bouts ago in February when Lady Hoo-Ha broke Mouse's previous record with, I believe it was 127 points in 1 bout.
And it looks like Scarlett O'Snaria went to the penalty box for a elbow, if I'm not mistaken. That's 4 more points picked up by number 31, Lady Wormya.
Charlie Hustle back in the penalty box. I believe she is getting real close to that 7 minutes total time. Another 4-point pass for Lady Hoo-Ha, countered with a 4-point pass by the the Unholy Rollers' own Tango de Muerte. Tango de Muerte nicely pierces a Malachi crunch applied by the Reservoir Dolls. However, she falls behind and has to do it all over again like that Peter Tork song on that later Monkeys album. Lady Hoo-Ha threw 4 more points for the Reservoir Dolls. And another 4 for Tango de Muerte. I think everybody is trying to go for the scoring record here. Nice bicentennial point differential. I appreciate that. 4 more points for the Reservoir Dolls. And 4 more points for the Unholy Rollers. Funny how that works.
All right, and the jam gets called by Lady Hoo-Ha. And at this time, I just want to say another special thank you to the bout sponsor. Folks, if you are unaware, Earth needs you desperately. Visit Tercy Top's Truncatus Studios in the lobby to become a test pilot for their new game, The Day We Fought Space. Space.
Take that, Space. We've got number P1MP. That is Busta Crimes in and out for the Reservoir Dolls. She is your lead jammer on her first Jam O the Game.
Busta Crimes loves CNC Music Factory. Fact. She's gonna make you sweat, Reverend Norb, with that 5-point grand slam. Busta Crimes, P1MP.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's very important we watch Twisted Halo number 13 from the Unholy Rollers. If she skates past these 4...
Dare I say, Busta Crimes looking a bit fly on that particular go-round.
A bit fly with that white tie?
I don't know. I don't even know if people say that this decade or even this millennium. I only know it because of the Beastie Boys album from 1987. Speaking of 87, number 987 is on the jammer line for the Unholy Rollers. That is Splatter Alice. She is going up against number 33 in the black and the white of the Reservoir Dolls. That's Charlie Hustle.
And apparently there are some Quad Squad fans here in the audience. In anticipation of our next bout, we are starting to get shout-outs for the Quad Squad. KFC, kick some mother clucking butt tonight. Love you, Pariah.
And that's clucking like a chicken.
Absolutely. She's got the Midas touch, only greasier.
Meanwhile, lead jammerdom is achieved for the Reservoir Dolls by number 33, Charlie Hustle.
And we have another shout out to Matt Bem at Freedom Sports Shop from your fun aunt and uncle, Julie and Brian.
And that is a grand slam. 5 more points for the Reservoir Dolls picked up by Charlie Hustle as we head to this bolt's conclusion.
And a shout out for Mouse. You can do it, Mouse. Love Mila. Or Mila. M-I-L-A. Mila.
Now let's not forget, folks, if a next jam can get underway, while the period clock may expire as there's only 34 seconds left on it, once that clock expires, the jam will go to its natural conclusion, or if a lead jammer call it, because the jam clock always supersedes the period clock, and here in our beloved sport of roller derby. One of the things I love about roller derby is the sportswomanship. Charlie Hustle was jamming all day, not tired at all. We all know she's got some serious hustle. She said, you guys want to play to the next deck of the next group of girls that were on deck. She called the jam specifically just to let her teammates play just one more jam. Give it up for Charlie Hustle. That's some pretty awesome sportswomanship right there. Unfortunately for the captain, Shenanigans, what did you do? She's going to the penalty box. She's a little sad-faced. She's saying, you know, it happens from time to time.
And we have a shout-out. Happy birthday, Tawny. We love you.
Happy birthday, Tawny!
Where's Tawny? We
I don't
love
know where
you.
you are, but happy birthday, Tawny!
And lead jammer goes to number 987. That's Splatter Alice of the Unholy Rollers. And this is going to be our last jam of the game, unless there is some sort of 216-point play. That's 2 to the...
Hey, if anybody can do it, it's Splatter Alice.
I'm trying to think of what power 2 that is. 2 to the 6th? 2 to...
And a happy 8th birthday to Charlotte.
Oh, and what else?
And a shout out to her favorite player, number 34, Kaiser Susie.
Kaiser Susie out on the track right now, has a 8-year-old fan in the audience. Happy birthday, Charlotte.
2 to the 8th power. 216 is 2 to the 8th power. I apologize for my original non-determination. However, that's a grand slam. 5 more points for Splatter Alice and the Unholy Rollers.
Speaking of 5 more points, how about Go 5-0? The Heat has a fan here as well. Amanda G loves ya, Heat.
Shenanigans is out of Jammer Jail and putting points on the board for her Reservoir Dolls.
And Squeaky Fromage is blowing that whistle from the middle, signifying the jam did expire. That's going to be the end of the bout, folks. And that is going to be your final, Reverend Norb.
404, score not found. No, that's not true. I found the score. It is 404 to 21. That looks like our final. I don't know if that's officially official, but by golly, I think it's pretty safe to say this one goes to the Reservoir Dolls.
And that final jam was brought to you by Fundamental Pizza's Jammery, Thursday mornings from 9 to 11, or you can listen anytime with the Ask Jammery podcast. It's a terrible name for anything. It's too late to change it now. We printed the banner.
All right, come on and get some Roller Girl DNA on ya. It's good for the common cold.
Yeah, by all means, folks, if you're a trackside, feel free to come on up to the line and high-five the ladies. Congratulate them on what a great job they did. Excellent work by the Res Dolls. But good way to put up the good fight by the Unholy Rollers. Still having fun, still doing a lot of teamwork along the way. Congratulations, however, to Res Dolls for the win.
And the skaters will be out in the main lobby with Tipsy Velvet and her video game, signing autographs and meeting fans. If you'd like to meet a Derby girl, tell her how much you loved her play tonight and get an autograph or a picture, make your way to the main lobby.